Hello from the Florida Keys.
On Wednesday, September 28th.
Right around noon.
2022.
Ooh. If you're not in it.
You might be watching it on the news. So, hey, let's get real. We're just going to share with you where we've been, where we're at, and what we're thinking.
Mama says namaste. Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
So I love to do these podcast episodes as real time as possible so that it is relevant to what's going on and where our thoughts and hearts are in the moment. And as this week started getting busier and busier and crazier due to evacuations from Hurricane Ian,
our happy volunteering days at Bahia Honda were cut, not short, but were paused for a moment. And we had to skippity-doo-dah out of there real quick after cleaning up and helping all of the campers exit.
Well, yeah, we'll get into the full story as to what all we have been through. But yeah, we kind of we're at the point today, and I'm going, God, it's time for a podcast. And I'm like, we're waiting for what's going to hit us at 3. And my mind is not fully focused on other things. So let's share with you where we're at, where we've been, what the crazy adventure that we have been on this week, and I guess how we've gotten to here and then where we're going from here.
All right.
So way back when, all the way back on innocent last Thursday, we were prepping for a daughter's birthday party, and Juliet turned 10 years old. And if you didn't hear the episode last week, we brought Jules on, and she talked about all the things that she is grateful for at this moment as she enters her first decade of living.
And I'm actually shocked I'm back on the podcast
She's
after that one.
Good. Yeah. So we were excited about that. We were focused on that, looking at that, knew that there were some thoughts of storms, but nothing major. So my parents came and visited that day. They surprised us. We knew. Everybody in the family knew but Jules. And so it was a big surprise for Juliet for my parents to walk in on our campsite. They're up near our house in Venice, near Venice, Florida. And they were coming down on their way to leave for a cruise. And so they came down and they spent Thursday night with us. And then Friday, all day Friday, we got to visit and play. And then we started hearing word of potential evacuation for a hurricane. And here Mom and Dad are about to go on a cruise.
And they're like, what hurricane?
Yeah. And we're down here at Bahia Honda in the Keys, thinking hurricane, probably not the greatest for the islands. So we weren't sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure about evacuation. On Saturday, we had National Public Lands Day, and we had volunteers come and help, and my parents were able to help us with picking up litter on the beach and being a part of it.
Got a little taste of what we do every day, which was fun to share with them. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, it was really cool to have my parents experience it because my parents had never been down to the Keys with us. And Key West is a different experience than coming to the state parks in the middle of the Keys. And so if you think you know the Keys because you've just visited Key West, there's a whole other world of the Keys that is not Key West.
That's a totally different slice of pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got a taste of the intense heat and the hard work that we do and all that it takes to run a campground. And so we said our goodbyes on Saturday night to them, and Sunday morning, as they took off to go to a cruise that had now been rerouted from Mexico to the Dominican Republic, they took off for that, and Nathan and I had our Sunday morning meeting with notes that there was good chance of evacuation,
Which
and
we were used to.
Yeah.
But we started watching the track, and the track started pointing towards Tampa. And we're like, I don't know, but maybe we'll see. It's still early.
Yeah, and Tampa is a lot closer to our house in Venice. So as we started looking at us being in the clear down in the Keys, we started looking at a higher risk of our house up in Venice. So Monday rolls around. Now, when we were down in the Keys, I don't have the best internet, and I know this, and we accommodate for it. So this is part of just our proactive planning, that when we are in a place that we know has a little bit more dicey internet, that I'm more strategic with what Zoom calls, live webinars, and things like that I'm doing. And so in this situation, I knew we were going to be down here for 3 months in a place where the internet's a little bit more iffy. It can be a little bit more up to the weather at the moment, being as far down on the islands as we are. And so, out of the 3 months that we were booked there, I only had one big thing, and that was Monday. And so on Monday, Nathan and I were going to lead one of the Zoom calls for our 48 Days Eagles membership community. This is a community of my dad's business, 48 Days, and it's all entrepreneurial-minded thinkers that are coming together to look for those opportunities for a growth mindset, building their business, and creating the life that they love. And so every Monday we do a call, and we've been doing calls on different books that we've read as well. So Nathan and I were going to be leading a call on the book Quiet.
Shh.
I knew you were just waiting to put that in there. You've been waiting for a while,
I
weren't
have
you?
a long time.
Okay, the name of the book by Susan Cain.
It's a really good book. I don't mean to joke.
It's called Quiet, not Shh. But it's Quiet, The Power of Introverts in an Extroverted World. Anyway, incredible book. We have enjoyed reading it. Our daughter is reading the Quiet for Kids right now. And we were going to be sharing our thoughts on that along with 2 others on the 48 Days team. So we were all geared up to do it, even taking some time off from our volunteering so that we could leave, get ourselves cleaned up, and get over to a ranger's house who kindly was offering her place for us for good internet. So
that was the plan.
That was the plan. Monday morning rolls around, and our 7:30 meeting for volunteers goes with a quick, hey, guess what?
We all have until 4 o'clock to get out of here.
Yeah. Now, the state parks typically they are state parks. They are very cautious, and last year we did get evacuated, I think twice last year.
Yes.
Protocol with the parks is oftentimes they're going to shut down first. Oftentimes not because of an actual storm, but because of flooding that can occur and the effects afterward, or power outages and things like that.
Most of these parks are in lower lying areas.
Right. So we knew that there would be extra caution and everything, and so they gave us a heads up. They're clearing campers out. Volunteers have an extra day to clean up, clear out, help with setting up for a hurricane, and then we all can scoot out. And so we had until Tuesday to leave. But isn't that right? I think that's right.
Yes, we could have left.
Jumbled.
We could have left by Tuesday. We could have spent that Monday night.
But as we're getting closer and closer to the time where we're supposed to do our call, and mind you, we're covering this call for my dad because my dad is on a cruise and at this point now redirected from Mexico to the Dominican Republic. So dad is on a cruise ship, cannot run this call, and I as his backup am now having this. So then that's gonna land on our next right hand lady, our assistant Sheila, and so we're trying to make sure we've got this covered. And so we're driving through Bahia Honda, and I'll put on I always have a complimentary blog that goes along with these podcast episodes. Sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same. This week, it's mainly I'm just going to throw up some pictures with some of our updates so you can see some of the stuff we've been experiencing. So you'll see some pictures of Bahia Honda and the flooding that has occurred there. All of Lower Keys was evacuated. This was not just a state park decision this time. This was all of the Lower Keys because
it was a Monroe
of
County decision.
Yeah, all of the because of the flooding that could occur down there. And so at this point, we had already been dealing with king tides. King tides also make the tides super high and often occur during a new or a full moon.
This time of year. And so the king tides are super high. And the place that we were going to do this call was back behind a road that was completely underwater with salt water. And I was not going to drive my truck, as old as it is, I know, but I am not driving my truck down that road now. So I was like, either we're going to walk down there.
We've seen enough of the other cars and heard the stories.
Yeah, I am not doing that. And so either
So then we're thinking, are we going to lug our computers? Are we going to and wade through it? Are we going to bike through it? We can't do a golf cart through it because
it's too deep.
Yeah, it's too deep for a golf cart. We don't want to drive our truck. What are we going to do? And so at this point, we cleaned up and cleared out. We had more than accomplished our volunteer duties for the day. So our typical volunteer duties when we're dealing with the campground, we rotate around with our responsibilities. But during this weekend, our responsibilities was cleaning up campsites as people clear out and come in, and cleaning up bathrooms. Well, when you're evacuating a place, there's not a whole lot to do because the campsites have all been cleared out. No point in cleaning before a hurricane. And
we cleaned.
We actually did. I don't, but we didn't really need to. But we were pulling up trash cans, putting things away, putting them into bathrooms so that they wouldn't fly away with
helping
hurricanes.
Them lock down the campground.
Yeah, and we did it. We locked down, and we're looking at the clock, and we're like, it's 2:00. I mean, it's 12:00. We have this call at 3. Can we make it to the next campground where I know I have solid internet before then?
And I said, baby, if we can pack up and be on the road by 1, we can make it happen.
And man, by 12:30, I think we were on the road.
Yeah, I think so. 12:30, 12:45.
Yeah, it was even faster. It's amazing as absolutely ridiculous as it can be for us to get out the door. And as much as we talk about it's like herding cats sometimes, when push comes to shove and there is an emergency and we need to rush, it is all hands on deck, and it's amazing how quickly we can move. And I'm so proud of the girls for that. I mean, we can rock it fast.
I'm glad. Yes.
Yeah.
It still stresses me out.
Oh, I know.
But whatever. When
You're
push
like,
comes
not
to
good enough.
Not good enough. Let's just get in the truck on a normal day first, not in chaos. But I mean, the girls were phenomenal. So we get on the road, and we were so close on time. I know you're saying we were ahead of time, but I remember we were so close on time. We decided not to do one crucial thing.
Yes.
And that was to dump our tanks. And that's, if you're ever RV, that's, you've got your gray water and your black water that you use while you're in your camper. And so we chose not to dump, but I had all my stuff ready. And so we go pulling out, and we're driving across 7 Mile Bridge, the longest bridge in all the Keys. No turnaround spots, no pullovers. You're going. Mm-hmm. If you break down, they shut the road down, and they charge you a big fee to get you out of there. And so I'm cruising down the road, and I see something flashing about halfway across the bridge. I said, oh, gosh, what is that? And I said, look back there. What's hanging out of the back of my truck? And it is 10, 15 feet of sewer hose.
15 feet
15 feet of sewer hose flapping in the wind, held on by a 90-degree elbow hanging on the tailgate of my truck. And I say, oh my gosh, there's our sewer, my brand new sewer line.
Yes.
Oh, it's drug on the road. Oh, okay, it's flying through the air. That's good. It's holding on. And we see the edge, and we get so close.
I mean, we watched this thing drop and fly and drop
Probably
so many times.
Minute, at least.
We thought, like, oh man, we must have lost it. Oh, there it is again.
It's still there. Okay.
To the point that I'm going, there's no way we can use this again.
Yeah, I know.
There are going to be holes all in it.
Even if we get it, it's just going to be, once you test it with clean water first.
Yeah.
But so we can see the end. The end is near.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, we got it. And we're probably 20 yards away from the end of the bridge. Pop. There it flies off, gets
Off.
immediately crushed by another oncoming truck. And what was so funny is we pull over, and then one of our rangers was driving behind us. She's like, "Are you guys okay? I saw what was going on. Oh my gosh, what's happening?"
She passed the other direction. She goes, "Did I just see you? And did you just lose your sewer hose?"
Like, yes, and
We did.
sorry.
And there's no going back for that baby. I
It's
mean,
not
it
worth
was way too many cars going. It was one of those things where we just had to make a call. Yes, we littered. We apologize. We have spent months picking up litter on the beach. We don't want to do this.
Now we're at a net even.
And now we just lost a sewer hose. And it did. It is somewhere crashing on 7 Mile Bridge or it's to the side at
We
this
apologize.
point. So.
And so then, back in the truck, cruising on. And I started looking at the time and like, oh man, we're going to be cutting it close. Because
Oh
I
my
didn't put
gosh.
in the GPS, so I didn't want to see because I knew where we were going. So it didn't have a timer ticking down. So nobody was looking, nobody was paying attention, but little old me who always pays attention to the time.
I saw it too, and I was choosing not to look.
Oh, that's funny. And so we get in there, and I get our sight by we pulled in here
We pulled in here 3 minutes before we needed to be
on a live
call that we're leading. Okay, now granted, on this also we threw everything in our rig. I mean,
So-
we were assembly lining it, throwing. So we had the whole center of our RV was full of bikes and
It
all
looks
the
like
outdoor
somebody's
stuff.
made a smoothie of a home and
all the
stuck it in a
and
camper.
the outside, because all
There's
of our plants and our bikes, everything from
Ukuleles,
outside, paddle
shoes,
boards.
animals. It's
I should have
everywhere.
taken a picture of it yesterday, so I would completely post the reality of what the chaos was yesterday. It was crazy. So we pull in. Nathan thankfully pulls in perfectly. You know, you back into these campsites, and he backs into this little campsite and does it, on a dime. The first time you rocked it.
Boom.
You pull in. We get in here to try to do it. I'm frantically looking to grab stuff to clear a spot. So we clean out the bikes. We sit down. We're ready to go. We hop on. We do a test check with Sheila and Elizabeth, the two that are on our team, my right-hand ladies that I'd count on to carry if anything has to happen with me.
Deep breath. We got
Take a
this.
deep breath. We got good internet. Everything's great. We're about to go live. Right when Sheila presses the live button, my jetpack powers off.
Which is our internet.
And
Bye-bye,
no internet. Zero battery on my jetpack, and my backup doesn't work at this campground. So I fluctuate between AT&T and Verizon, and which one has better service. And so this happens to be a rockin' Verizon area, but not for AT&T. And down in Bahia Honda, it's the opposite. So here, my jetpack is not charged, and I have no idea where the sinking cord is. So next commences another 5 minutes of frantic chaos in the house as we are running around, and I am throwing things everywhere trying to figure out where in the heck the charging cord is, and then finding it, plugging it in, and having to sit and stare at the jetpack,
One,
waiting for it to charge up
two.
enough that we can get back on and be on live.
Hold on a minute.
And thankfully, Sheila covered all the announcements, which are what I typically do. And she covered for me until we were able to hop on there, and then we could all get on with the conversation. And it ended
was a
up.
good call.
It did. It ended up being a great call, great conversation, and we made it happen in our volunteer uniforms, sweaty from the day and everything else. I still had my badge on. We definitely had not showered.
They couldn't. It wasn't smell-o-vision.
It
We were
wasn't
okay.
smell-o-vision. We were fine. So we did it. So after this, now we've
big
got our
finish.
deep breath. Okay, we finally got that section done. Now
All
let's
right.
start unpacking the house.
So we start unpacking. And I go to pull the slides out. And I hear this. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, man. And so I crawl underneath all of our stuff and start looking for my screwdriver. Meanwhile, everybody's asking, I'm hungry. When are we going to eat? I don't know. As soon as I get this slide up.
Okay, so what he's talking about is the slide. If you have seen an RV, you know that when they're driving down the road, they're all one long rectangle. When they're set up in campgrounds or anywhere else, you'll see that there are sections that pop out. Those pop-out sections are called slides. Those pop-out sections are what give you that wonderful breathing room to stretch out in your rig.
And those pop-ups out sections are on a motor or a pulley or a hydraulic system.
Or something else that could fail on you.
Yeah. And so, any rate, I'm underneath. I get two other guys over, and we're trying to figure it out. And we finally, push comes to shove, get it figured out. Next time we pull the slide in, I'm going to do it.
Was it 'cause
that
I
way
did
it's
it
my
too
fault.
much?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
But doesn't matter. So we got slide out. Okay.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Cooking food. Bellies full. Happy campers. And so then we start looking at the
radar again.
the radar.
Yeah.
And we realized that, I checked it earlier and it was moving towards Venice. And then we check it again and it's staying on Venice.
Venice is where our house is, the house that we bought in October of 2020. And this has been our safe haven to land in between camp hosting. So we've just done camp hosting and staying in our Venice house.
And I'm only partially joking here, but I always said that I would never buy in Florida. And that woman said, there'll never be a hurricane that'll hit here because it's protected by spirits. Okay, cool. I'll do that. I'll
never
do
had
Indian
the eye of the
spirits.
hurricane
I'll
on
buy
Venice.
that.
It's still not on Venice.
It hasn't, but yeah, it's not.
Now.
Right now. We'll see. And so, any rate, I start to think, oh my God, water intrusion. Oh my gosh. Like, I start to get alerts from Sarasota County. Hey, come in here and get your 10 sandbags for free. Wait a minute, sandbags? I haven't even thought about sandbags.
Yeah.
What in the world are we up against? Oh my gosh. Like, I know water blows in our doors just in a regular rainstorm.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going to happen when
with
a hurricane. And so
this is getting at me again.
oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
And so
deep breaths.
so we start to freak out.
Yeah.
And we start talking about, hey, the timing of this thing, we've been working all day. We're tired.
And Nathan and I we're best friends through and through. And we can bring each other off ledges a lot of times. We also can amp each other up.
This is true.
And we can feed off of each other. So Nathan's nervousness.
If one of
about
us runs out of
storms,
rebuttals,
then all of a sudden we're in trouble.
Oh God.
Okay, now we both are freaking. Yeah, and so it kept mounting. And so here we are. We've already had one epic day. And now here it is about 6 o'clock. And we're on a walk with the girls. And we're talking with them. And we're like, this is our only time. I mean, if we're going to go up there and we're going to do anything to help our house in Venice, it has to happen now. And if we leave early enough tonight, we can leave, get up there, knock it all out, and be back by tomorrow afternoon before anybody even knows anything. Like, we can come back and be back. The girls were excited about some volunteer opportunities they could do here and helping out. And so
I was like, if we leave by 7 o'clock at the latest, we can make this happen. And I said, maybe Claire and I go. Well, I want to go. Okay, well, maybe Claire and Ellie and I go. Well, what about us?
Well, if the library's going, why don't we all knock it out? So, yeah, we have this whole conversation, and actually that's part of it. I mean, we're talking through all of this, and we are with our kids 24/7. We don't have babysitters taking children off or school programs or anything else that's taking our children. They're living these decisions with us. And so we're talking through all of it and navigating, okay, who all is going to go. And I mean, we did an episode on getting used to disappointment. Well, when you have your kids overhearing everything, they're going to hear those potential things that sound better, that feed their wonder, that may be, not what you practically end up doing. Yeah. We get used to disappointing our kids.
Yeah, it's all right.
So
they will still love you, believe it or not.
They do. And so anyway, so we're talking it through together. So we decide on a plan. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to go back right now. We're going to go back to the rig. We've been rocking. We're going to go back to the RV, and we put each kid on something. Clara, you're on animals. Make sure that we've got all of the animals handled. We're going to take the dog. We're going to give the cats extra food to just let them go overnight. They could care less about us.
Change of clothes.
Yeah, girls, get all of your loveys. Get any of your clothes for tomorrow. Get heavy working clothes for us. We went through a whole list. We came back, and boom, everybody was on it.
650.
650. Nathan said if we could,
Now,
he said if we could
time,
get done by 7:30, and it was it was like 6:30, and by 6:50 we were in the car.
Yeah, and so during this time, I couldn't do that.
I was
if
proud
I
of
said,
myself.
Hey, we're going to the grocery store. Hold on.
It'd be like 2 hours later.
I'll drive to the end of the road and back 3 times without. We've forgotten shoes, hats. Basic stuff, shirts. We get out things you would never imagine you could get out of the house. These kids can pack up all their possessions in 5. It's proof.
But when it gets real, it gets real.
And so during this time, I had also reached out to some neighbors, longtime Floridians. Hey, what do you think? Too soon to tell. We're not worried. yada, yada, yada. And so we start driving. Then we start talking as we're driving. Okay, what's the game? If we get there tonight, we go to bed. I need to get a Red Bull. We pull over here so I can make it through. We have to also think about fuel getting back. We need to think about water. We start talking about all these things. And so we're cruising towards Homestead. On the bridge. Now we've passed point of no return in my mind. We're leaving the Keys.
Mm-hmm.
We're driving out of the Keys. And we start asking. I think I asked the question.
Well, at this point, we're sitting with ourselves after all the frenzy of the day.
Yeah.
We're sitting with the reality of what the next long haul was going to look like.
Yeah.
And so this is why I thought it might be helpful for us to even share our story in this, because I want you guys to see our craziness, our ups and downs, and our uncertainty. We don't know. And for me, that's the hardest part is I hate speculation. I hate sitting and talking about the possibilities. I want to just do. And I want to deal with what's going to happen, but I don't want to just sit and speculate the unknowns that are out of my control. It can be really frustrating or really overwhelming. And so, so we've gone through this whole day of just go, and now we're at a point of, okay, what are we going to go? And recognizing that everything that we were facing into is total speculation at this point. By Monday night, we were still iffy on where it was going to turn, how badly it was going to hit, and it was kind of from our even feedback from our neighbors who are all these native Floridian natives. It was more, well, either it's not going to matter. I mean, either it's not going to be a big deal, or it's going to be such a big deal it doesn't really matter if you have hurricane shutters up or not. Well, as we're driving and we're starting to head back up there, we're thinking about that. We're thinking about those hurricane shutters to cover those crappy windows we have. We know our windows are really old. So old that we already paid for window installation, and it's happening as soon as we get back. What? We've already got window replacements ordered and waiting for us. Okay. Well, what else is there?
Our stuff. We got stuff in our house.
We got stuff in our house. Okay. Well,
what about all of our things, all of our possessions?
Well, you know what? We set our house up to potentially be rented out because at one point we were thinking we were going to be down here for 3 months or for 6 months. And so we had set it up for a rental, which meant that all of our personal effects, all the things that mattered to us, were either in Luna with us. Luna is our fifth wheel, our RV. It's either with us or we put it in one closet that's locked in our house. That's probably the safest spot in the house. And all of our pictures are up high on the top of the closet. Everything's up off the ground in that closet. And everything that would be precious to us in that home is there. It's just things. Mm-hmm. I mean, the greatest of those are pictures, and I've got them digital. Mm-hmm. So
what are we going back for?
So what are we adding at this point? How much of a drive would that have been? What, 8 hours round trip?
4 hour drive, 4.5 there. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably a 9 hour drive, 8 to 9 hour drive round trip.
Assuming no stops or delays.
Exactly. Barring no stops or delays or potential flooding. Oftentimes our trek back north is going through the Everglades. Well, that's probably not the smartest idea right now. My guess is they're dealing with flooding as well.
Or will
if they haven't already.
And that was our other concern. Could we get back to the RV and our animals?
Right.
Or would we get stuck in a point where we couldn't move around? I mean, these are all questions that we started to ask on the other side of that coin. And
so now here we are driving, and this is where I want to point out the three things we're thinking about here.
Well, hold on, I want to play the scene though.
Okay.
We got 3 kids in the back of the car with stuff and dogs piled in their laps.
Mm-hmm.
In a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in the back of the truck, and we are blowing down the road, tired in our sweaty old dirty clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, and most of what I love is the way you presented it. Everything you said is what I said, and every question I asked is what you asked in real life.
Huh?
I was the one saying, "Well, hold on now, let's ask ourselves what is."
I know, and I'm explaining
and
it. And
you're explaining it like it was you.
Well,
hold on now, because I mean, the kids are like, "Why are we packed up? I mean, we're ready to go. Let's do this."
Yeah.
Because we had decided as a family, boom, we're going to.
This is Nathan tends to get more anxious quickly about stuff. And so he'll get worked up and I'll be like, well, fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. And then at some point, my rebuttals start to get down a bit. And I go, okay, you're right. We should freak out. And then at that point, then that he's got me on there, then it's like there's this balance.
Let's go home.
Then it's like, wait a second. No, maybe we're not that bad. And okay, this is the dynamics of a relationship. It's us caring about each other and in our protectiveness of one another. It kind of helps to level us in the process. And so here we are. We both made the decision together to go. But now Nathan's recognizing maybe I need to check myself in this. And so he starts asking about it. And so we start talking. And so we're looking at 3 different aspects when we're trying to make a decision here. We're looking at what is in our control. Okay, how are we going to be proactive in this?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do with that? What is not in our control? Well, we don't know. It's unpredictable. We cannot predict the weather, and we can't just sit here and speculate for 5 hours about where the cone is going to turn next. The third thing is, what does our gut say?
Mm-hmm.
What actually does our gut say when our heart, and I just was reading something about like the science behind it, and that our heart responds, our intuition responds 6 seconds before our brain does. And our brain is what has all of the judgment and the what ifs and the anxiety and the different things brought into it. I mean, we discount that intuitive side as well. And so here we have gone through...
I think we usually make our decisions from that intuitive side, so at the end of the day.
Well, and that's where we finally were going to on this. This is not the freak out side. This isn't the heart, the fear aspect. That's more of your mind. It's really going to, okay, we went through our clear decision on what are we going to be proactive on. Okay, what can we take control of? What are we going to let go of? And now as we're driving and we're recognizing what all is in and not in our control, we start checking ourselves. And what does our heart say? Do we feel good about going up to Venice right now?
Or what are we making this push for? Is it really worth the effort?
Yeah, is it worth the effort?
And after we started to unpack that, there was nothing that we had or nothing that was in that home or nothing that we felt we could do that would board it up to our satisfaction within that short of amount of time. And so we ultimately decided that, we were looking at putting in new windows anyway. If a new roof is in order as well, so be it. Such is life. But we're already...
The one window that we needed to protect the most.
We can't.
We didn't have anything for it.
And so, and by the time I get down, there's not going to be plywood left. And so, it was a
one time
to accept the possibility of an outcome that we could not control.
Yes. And you know what? It was one time of many, many, many in our lives that we have done that, where we have gone through, we've gotten ourselves into a tizzy about something. We've figured out this whole complex chain of events that we need to do.
Move the whole situation to a point of action.
Yeah. And then we get all the way to this point and we're so complicated with it. And then we stop and we gut check and we go, what's the point of this? Why are we stressing ourselves out so much? Why are we adding this added drama? Is it really in the long run going to make that big of a difference? Is it worth what it will pull from us in the fears, the anxiety, the drama, the chaos, the unpredictability, the ups and downs, all of those different things? Is it worth it? And so here we are headed toward Venice. And we talk through all of this with our kids. And we're like, what do you guys think? We're feeling, this is what we feel. And we shared with them. We processed through all of this. We kind of all had our opportunity to share the pros and cons. And we made a decision together that, we're good. Let's turn around and go back. How does that feel to everybody? That feels okay.
Yeah.
That feels right. There's not any more that we are going to do other than just add more stress and chaos to the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came back and we washed up and we had an uneventful night.
Went to bed.
We went to bed. We were exhausted. And we went to bed and we were bracing for storms.
Well, I woke up a million times that night. It's funny. Usually with something like that, if I'm all anxious about it, I'd be like, I changed my mind. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But I was very at peace with it. Well, then the next day, Tuesday hit, and we are watching, and everything is still pointing heavily towards this Venice, Sarasota, Northport area. And as the day goes by, I realize it's done. Like at this point, it's noon.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. And so, or we go through and we cook our dinner, and we go for a stroll. And Juliet keeps running around saying, "They're going to kick us out. They're going to kick us out." I was like, "Be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. They're going to kick us out, Daddy." No, that ranger's just talking to people. They know everybody here. The only people that are here are people that have been kicked out of other state parks. So we're strolling around. We come back through. We say, well, they'll, if they're really kicking us out, they'll come find us, whatever. We come back into the campground. Everything is still, business as usual. Nobody's packing up. I say, you see? You got nothing to worry about, Jules. Well, we go to bed, and it's a rough night last night. We had the bands of the hurricane passing the Keys. And so we had these groups of storms, and the way a hurricane works is it swings counterclockwise, and it almost spits out these whips of these thunderstorms that are just covered with rain and wind. One of them's coming through right now. And it's an intense little spot. And so every morning, or all throughout last night, I'd be woken up, and I'd see the wind blowing, and I'd pull my phone out underneath the sheets so it wouldn't wake you up. And I'm sneaky like that.
I think you were, because I slept pretty well last night.
Yeah, you did. And I would look at the bands, and they were going right between us on either side.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'd get another 2 hours of sleep, wake up again, same thing.
Yeah. So at this point, there's no getting in or out. I mean, we're in and we're staying and we're not moving. We're not even actually at this point. We're not even leaving the campground. We're again taking all the precautions, and there's lots of trees around. We want to be as safe as possible. And
winds here are supposed to get up into the 60s, 70s, which are big winds to be in a camper. We'll see if they reach that point. But
so far, our experience as far as the storms have been is, well, it's nowhere near as bad as when we were in Nebraska and nowhere near as bad as when we were in Kansas.
Yeah.
So we've had some other places in our travels where we've had way worse storms and winds that we've navigated. So,
but that's where we sit. I mean, this thing is about an hour and a half, 2-3 hours from landfall right now.
Yeah.
We will, we're seeing pictures of the recession of the water. So when a hurricane is bearing down the land, the water recedes out, and so there's this real ominous
Tampa Bay is
cleared dry
out. Yeah.
And we saw pictures of our beach where the beach is huge, and
it's the water's just
all
been
that water's
going
to push back through. So we'll see at the end of the day. I think I was talking to my dad about it because he called me up yesterday and he says, "Man, you got to be just torn up about it." I said, "You want to know the truth? I bought that house because it had a campsite on it. That's what I was looking for."
Mm-hmm.
And we're living in this camper right now, and we enjoy life in this camper. It's not that we enjoy, that house is our. I love the house too. I'm not saying it, but if the house is blown away, we still have a camper to live in on the same piece of property.
Yeah.
And that's what we were hunting for in the beginning. And we've always said, this little house it's good enough, and if the hurricanes chip away at it, then we'll just add ourselves.
We'll create something
and put what
beautiful.
we want back. Excuse me. I'm not crying, folks. I promise. I cry at a lot of things, but not this. No, but I think that at the end of the day, having peace in your heart with your decision, together, has made this really easy. I don't feel tension. I'm not snapping at kids. I'm not staring at my phone. I'm not doing all the things that old Nathan used to do. And so it's interesting to see when you let go of what you think could happen and the fear and the anxiety of what life's going to throw at you and just allow it to be pitched out and you deal with it as it comes. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be.
Yeah. And I mean, having a family on board with it, just trusting that I don't know. And I mean, this is so much what we have just dealt with throughout our whole life. I don't know what every single thing of our future is going to look like. But I do know I'm ready to go through it with you and do it together.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the future. As long as you're around.
We'll figure it out.
You sure do work us pretty hard.
We'll figure it out. So yeah, this is our pre-Hurricane Ian podcast. Next week, our podcast will give you an update as to what the state of our house is in, because we're going to know a lot more by then. Hopefully, we'll know even by the newsletter this weekend. I send out a newsletter on Fridays that gives an update, shares the podcast, and then shares any other updates I need to do for that week. So we will get back with you as to where we're at. But we want to encourage you all in the process here that, some of the things that we have learned along the way is looking at, wait to worry. Is it really worth your time and energy?
Well, we all face our storms in life. All of us do. I mean, they can look totally different. And sometimes you can see it coming like a hurricane. Sometimes you never know it's coming like a tornado. But until it hits you. But what I have found is the key is, understand yourself and how you respond. Giving yourself that permission you're almost mourning an existence that you wanted and having to replace it with the reality that is.
Of what is, right.
And if you don't give yourself permission to go through that process, then you may have a lot of angst or frustration about your decisions or disappointments in why you did what you did. I have zero concerns or regrets, no matter what. If we're just left with a slab there, it's like, okay.
That's what we'll go.
Here we go.
Create from here.
We start from here, and that I encourage you to continue to look at life through those lenses, because the stuff that you have right next to you that's warm and talks to you is so much more important than those with windows and a roof.
So true. Pay attention to what's in your control. Be real about what's out of your control, and don't overcomplicate it. And
be willing to recognize when you are making things complicated.
And trust your gut, and be willing to set your ego aside and change your course. Trust your gut. Remember the main focus, those people that you surround yourself around, those the relationships that make everything so worthwhile. And remember to celebrate how the
uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run.